Hey there, my groovy cats and kittens. I am here to talk today a little bit about sex. That's right, you know, your favorite topic, the one that we all gravitate towards when it's in the headline or it's in the title. I was thinking about a more or less recent situation that actually ties in with my previous rant about marriage institutions. I come from a very wild, free, liberal background. I was definitely raised by two completely free and wild beatniks who turned into hippies, who turned into yuppies, just like the story goes. And so sex was always a very open and honest and direct kind of conversation in my household. It wasn't a big drama. And so I'm very comfortable with my sexuality. I'm very comfortable with other people's sexuality. I know what I like. I don't have any preference with what people do in their own bedroom. I could give a shit less. You know, as long as it ain't going on in my bed, I don't care. So I had been doing these like networking seminars going back a few years ago, and I went to this really dope one over at Carnegie Hall with, I believe it was Bob Proctor and Michael Beckwith, who's got amazing energy, by the way. Definitely check him out. You know, I'd seen Tony Robbins speak live. I'd seen Robert Kiyosaki speak live at the Learning Addicts. I was doing like a big run of getting my business off the ground, and I wanted to know all the ins and outs about how I could actually run that game for my own success. And so I was doing these networking things, and I ran into this really beautiful woman accidentally at Carnegie Hall, which was so providential. She was such a groovy person. We really connected right away, and I really enjoyed her company. And she lived out on the West Coast. East Coast, West Coast dating, here we go. Even for the grown-ups. And so I was invited to go to this marketing cruise, which was super dope. I mean, like, it was a really nice opportunity. There was all these business owners there, and you were going to be able to, you know, work with them in tandem. They helped you to hone your marketing skills, your, you know, pitch skills, develop structure to a business. So there was a lot of really, really beautiful people there, and I was really excited about this particular event. So, like, I don't know, I think it's really, really funny, but one of the things that I found out by going on this cruise is that I absolutely hate cruises. Okay, and I think that it's kind of a funny metaphor for the story I'm about to tell you, but like by the end, you don't want to do a cruise more than 3 or 4 days, cats and kittens. You dig what I'm saying? Like by day 5, 7, all you smell is shit. You don't want to eat anything in the galley because all you're smelling all day long is shit, literally. So I didn't enjoy that part of it, and I'd rather just go someplace and enjoy that place than be stuck on a floating toilet. That is a beautiful metaphor for this particular experience because I found it to be exactly that type of experience when I was introduced in my very naive but yet grown-up self to this new and beautiful groovy world of swingers. Yes, that's right, folks. And you know, you get that feeling when you walk into a room and you're dressed to the nine and everybody turns to look at you and you wonder, did I smoke just a little too much weed in my cabin before I came into this particular bar today? Because I really feel like everybody in this room is looking all eyes on me, and I ain't that special, especially since I just got introduced to this crew. However, that was the feeling, kind of like a deer caught in the headlights, a rabbit in a trap, if you will. And I was enjoying the first couple of days of networking, and surely people were definitely very cool, and I learned quite a few skills. However, there was definitely a lecherous vibe to the entire thing. There was this one dude, I don't know, chiropractor, whatever, had his own talk show. Anyway, his name was Dr. Joe. Oh my God, New Yorkers and Joeys, all right? So, but this guy wasn't from New York, but anyway, he had every Joey attitude, every Joey personality. I swear to God, he told me he was Jewish, but I would have sworn he was friggin' Italian with all of his gestures and the way he acted and the way he just couldn't keep his hands off of me. And that definitely was one of those things where I was playing, like, you know, shadow boxing, like, okay, Dr. Joe, no, you don't need to hug me. No, you don't need to grab me. No, you don't need to take a selfie with me. No, could you get out of my 15 inches? And I started to laugh, and I had been talking with my friend in the cabin about this before we were going out and getting ready. And I was telling her about my day, and I was telling her about this like little gnome like dude that kept talking to me all day long on the beach, and he kept trying to get me drinks, which I'm an Irish girl. You can't get me loaded, all right? So it was pretty funny watching him and just watching him in action. And he was like, you know, fronting with all the fake flattery and compliments and bullshit and whatever. You're so beautiful, blah, 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 blah. Anytime somebody tells me you're so beautiful, you know my tagline. No, you don't know my tagline, but you're going to get it right quick. Whenever somebody tells me I'm beautiful, I always laugh and say, you know, I have no money, so what do you want? So I said that to him, and he laughed, and of course we had like a great conversation, and he was telling me all about my business while he looked at my boobs. And as a woman who comes from that type of environment, you know, Long Island, I was totally fine with it, because I was like, okay, this guy's just a lech, just like Dr. Joe. And I just put on my little beach cover and kept the conversation going, right? And he was very funny, because when I put on the beach cover, he was like, oh, like, are you shy? I mean, I thought you were married. Are you divorced? You have a child? Like, and I just said to him, like, well, I don't see what marriage and divorce or having a child has to do with modesty, right? And he just laughed, and he was like, modesty, that's interesting. So we kept going on about his business, these like super socks, which who the hell cares about that? But anyway. And I just kept enjoying that like beautiful sun. And I was telling my friend about this that evening before we had gone into the lobby and the dinner for about maybe a minute and a half. And then she just stopped and she looked at me and she was like, well, you know, I don't really mess with that particular circle. And I'm like, huh? And she was like, well, they like to swap their wives and their husbands. They're like swingers. And I was like, dumbfounded, literally. How could you be from New York and still be so naive? But hey. And I was like so hysterical, because then I understood the whole like, oh, modesty, oh, shyness kind of commentary. But I looked at her and I was like, you're kidding. And she's like, no. She's like, they're all like, they go to this one little island and they spend like the whole day there, and they just, every time there's an excursion, when they all go together, that's what they go and do, and they just wife swing. That's what they do. They're swingers. Now, I have absolutely no bones about swinging, but let me tell you, that whole like deer caught in a headlights, rabbit in a trap, lecherous vibe, I totally got that like full force at that moment. And let me tell you, people, they may show you that it's super glamorous in the porns, but there ain't a fucking person in that room I would let touch me with a 10-foot pole. They all look like ugly little gnomes. And that moment she said that to me, all I could do was picture all of these people who kept trying to get to know me and get really close to me, naked and lecherous and all that nastiness. And I was just like, oh my God, that is just so skivats. All right? Like, super gross. So, I mean, think about who you're interacting with. Always. Definitely use protection and caution. Always. But I thought that I would share that little world of the ugly swingers with you, because it ain't all as glamorous as they make it out to be in the porns, cat and kittens.